Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all. My name is Ed Markowitz, and thank you for joining the Cherwell Automation using RPA. The topic today is to how do we provide a digital experience to your employees by automating IT and several other functions like HR, admin, and finance, to name a few. So let's get started here. But before that, there's a few housekeeping notes. We put all attendees on mute so that you can not be interrupted during this session, as well as you see the questions box on the right-hand side. Please submit your questions, and we will leave plenty of time for a Q&A session. And with that, let's get started. So today we'll talk about some aspects of a business case, IT and non-IT automation, and the power of both. Why automation edge, on the Cherwell platform, and a demo, and then we'll leave again plenty of time for Q&A. So with that, back 30, 40 years, if you will, help desk really started to bring organization to what was a chaotic environment in IT so that incidents and problem management and things in this nature can be logged and, addressed in a orderly fashion, which then matured into more of IT as a service, yeah, and therefore created the paradigm of a service desk. And then as we matured and ITIL became a known entity, and IT service management became a solution in every IT organization, then we now are moving more into what we call enterprise service management, and not just for IT stakeholders and service catalog and service request, but now extends out to the enterprise. So a good example would be a typical onboarding process that, as you can see, is very manual and very time consuming. And with the different swim lanes and the different human capital that is used, you can see very much the manual effort and the inefficiencies as such. And so really what we should be thinking about is how do we take the robot out of the human, and where humans can do more analytical, strategical work, and let the robot, the digital assistant, the AI worker, do the heavy lifting on all of the manual, mundane, error-prone tasks. With that, this is an example of what a employee onboarding service request could look like once automation is really brought into place. And this is where you can leverage not only IT process automation, but robotic process automation, because there will be some things that are outside of the IT process automation discipline, and more in the robotic process automation discipline, like UI automation. And as Gartner points out, certainly we feel that the manual request, the simple, repeatable, mundane tasks, we have to take a shift left approach and take out those manual tasks, automate those to free up that human capital, and then as well as the IT service orchestration layer, which will be much more effective in creating a result of better service to your customers, to your internal stakeholders, and is just really gotten his view on moving into modernity. And then, as you can see from Forrester, IT process automation adoption is occurring as organizations mature in their automation journey to accomplish more complex cross-domain business value services. And also, Gartner predicts that there will be 4 million robots, digital assistants, taking these, again, error-prone manual tasks that could exceed and increase turnaround time from these processes. A good example could be closing out the end of the month, where it could take 10 days and 20 20 different resources, if you will, we can bring that down to a more manageable resource level and an overnight process. And these can be done because they're rule based and manual processes that you can automate. So, from a business case point of view, you don't have to look very far to really look at your own organization by taking the top 10 or 20 service requests, look at the costs associated in dealing with those requests. Here we use an example of $20 for from an offshore point of view, but depending upon where your service desk and your analysts are residing, it could be offshore, it could be nearshore, it could be onshore. What you want to do is take a look at where you're spending most of the time with these service requests and how can you automate these requests. In other words, increase the VM, an AWS slice disk space, all right? Common request. Password reset bogs down the service desk analyst in something that in the task that could be automated very easily. So to build a business case, not only from cost takeout, increase productivity, avoid the rework of some of these error-prone processes, but you also increase customer sat and you increase employee satisfaction as well because they're not now repeating these tasks, these manual tasks, and they're moving on to more knowledge work, strategic work, etc. So you have this data to help you build a business case inside your organization, sitting with inside your Cherwell service management solution. A very powerful illustration on the combination of both robotic process automation as well as IT process automation. And certainly we have a point of view that you really need both to accomplish a true end-to-end enterprise workflow. Of course, some things will be taken care of within the IT scope of things and process automation, and then some others will be from a business process automation. And this is one of the unique things about Automation Edge is that we bring both of these disciplines together to bring you a true enterprise intelligent automation solution. The other thing that we're very proud of here at Automation Edge is that we are one of the only vendors to reside in both the Gartner market guides for IT process automation as well as robotic process automation. So certainly, again, this is a strength of Automation Edge, and we are ecstatic that we are listed and the only RPA solution that is listed in both market guides. The other thing that we're proud of is being a Cherwell technology partnership, right? We announced it several months back. We have a deep RPA connectors for the Cherwell MAP and ready action bots available to the Cherwell IT service management platform, and we work seamlessly with the solution itself. So we're very proud of this. We've spent a big effort, if you will, to integrate, to work closely with Cherwell to provide you, the Cherwell customer, the ability to bring intelligent automation to the Cherwell platform very easily. With that said, I'm going to hand it over to my esteemed colleague, Himanshu, to take you through the rest of the presentation, and I will join you back in a bit. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Ed. So now we will cover the next part of the specific webinar, which will talk about architecture of the product, what makes Automation Edge a good choice when you want to automate both IT and non-IT type of requests with Cherwell, and a few use cases and case studies with that as well. So let's start this section now. Talking about the architecture, when we are talking about automating non-IT tasks along with the standard IT tasks, RPA is the technology that we recommend to use, which is possible to do with Automation Edge. So in Automation Edge, when you are doing RPA or when you are doing automation, we can broadly divide it into three main steps. The first step is, of course, taking input from your various different sources with either ready bots that are in place or talking with different systems. So when you are going to automate a non-IT task, you might have different type of inputs. So you might want to log into a website and get some data from there, or probably give a spreadsheet as an input and then process data from that spreadsheet. It can be a list of interns that need to be onboarded into an organization, or it can be reading of a mail and then making sense of that mail. So all of these things can be used as input for or as starting points for automating your non-IT tasks. Of course, that being said, you can also use IT systems as your starting point. So Cherwell as your ITSM, or SolarWinds or Nagios and many other systems. And then you can enter data into various different target systems. They can be business applications, ERP suites, CRM tools, HR systems, legacy systems, or even IT systems like Active Directory, Amazon EC2, Azure, Office 365, Salesforce, PeopleSoft, etc. So with ready bots, the differentiation that you get using Automation Edge is that you can easily integrate with different systems without having to worry about how integration takes place. The ready bots actually take care of that for you. Automation Edge sits in between these two layers, doing rule-based decision making or straight-through processing. What this means is that it is going to do the heavy lifting of logic in your process for you. So what we would do as human beings, so for instance, checking if all the data is there, check if the data matches a certain criteria, run validations on that data, handle exceptions if there are any exceptions that are occurring in that process. All of these things are handled by Automation Edge completely without any human interference required. That being said, you can always have interchange in this direction. So you can say, hey, my non-IT task starts from a CRM system and probably ends in Cherwell or ends on a spreadsheet. So that is entirely possible, as we have made sure that you get a highest level of flexibility while trying to automate your processes, whether of IT or non-IT type. That being said, when we talk about Automation Edge, we always call it as a platform for the digital enterprise, which goes beyond RPA. We as Automation Edge believe that you cannot have just a single technology which can actually give you an efficient end-to-end automation. So for instance, if we take Ed's example of employee onboarding, which we discussed a few slides back, it is absolutely clear that you cannot do all of those things using only IT automation. So that is where RPA comes into picture. So apart from IT automation, which does your standard IT process automation, your usual IT service desk tasks, we can also do service desk automation. What this means is we can automatically create tickets, we can automatically update tickets, close tickets, read tickets, and all of those tasks which you do on a service desk. When we are talking about RPA quadrant, then we primarily will talk about UI automation. So let's say in the earlier employee onboarding example, which we saw, the catalog item, when you actually want to order a laptop or order an iPhone or an Android, you will probably have to rely on a human counterpart in the current or conventional methods to go ahead and order that. But if you're using Automation Edge, that could also be automated using UI automation, as you can simply log into the website, of course, subject to approvals. You can then log into the website and then you can go ahead, order it, copy the tracking order or copy the order ID, the tracking number, and then send it in the onboarding mail so that the new employee can keep a track of that specific entity by himself or herself. Then of course, if you have legacy systems in your organization, you can utilize mainframe automation or even Excel automation. In terms of cognitive, we will not get into a lot of details, but to quickly mention, we also have ready bots that allow you to do automatic ticket classification. So we have seen that a lot of times in large organization like yours, you will see that your L1 engineer is investing a lot of time into actually classifying tickets, because more often than not, employees tend to write a lot of data while creating a ticket which is not really relevant or necessary, but your engineer has to go through all of that to actually sort that ticket. With automatic ticket classification bot, you can actually take care of that automatically without having to invest any time in doing so. There are other technologies in the wheel as well, which you can see, which allows you to have an efficient end-to-end automation of even a business service process as complex as employee onboarding too. So the platform itself, we will not go into lot of details, but to give you an idea, there is two type of tasks as we broadly divide it. One is the ready actions or ready tasks, which directly allows you to use that plug and play kind of approach, where you can directly drag and drop them into our process studio, our orchestration platform, and connect them to form your automation process. Or you can build your tasks. So here you can see GUI automation. So you can use RPA to your advantage to build automation that cannot be accessed via IT systems. And then the platform goes on giving you options in terms of deployment, in terms of processing, or in terms of even making it available to your customers, employees, channel partners, and vendors. Multiple robots are working together to allow you efficient automation. This is what we call as robot farm architecture. And in terms of deployment, you have options to do it either completely on premise, host it within your private cloud, or utilize it with RPA as a service, which works in exactly same way as software as a service. So to talk about a couple of use cases which you can do using both IT and non-IT, one is of course employee onboarding, which we have been discussing, where you will get an employee onboarding service request in your Cherwell instance. Then automation edge will either call an individual workflow, which is a automated job, or a combined automated workflow. So it can be either a single task or a set of tasks that can be triggered using a single service request. Then multiple actions can will be performed on different target systems like ADP, Oracle, HRMS, Microsoft Exchange, Office 365, etc. to you do typical onboarding things. And then you can update the Cherwell ticket as an end result with resolution of all of these activities. If we want to talk more about IT use case, then you can also talk about incident automation, where let's say alert is created by SolarWinds if a certain disk on your virtual machine is getting overutilized. And then in that sense, once an alert is created, a ticket automatically gets created in Cherwell because of the automation edge link in between these two platforms. Once the ticket is created in Cherwell, it can get automatically assigned to the automation queue. Once this is done, you can do remediation actions on Azure system using the ready action bots for Azure. And at the end, the Cherwell ticket will be updated as well. And when we are talking about the target system, in this case Microsoft Azure, it will be smart enough based on the definition of your workflow or automated job, whether you need to format the disk, whether you need to add a new disk, expand the disk. So depending on various action items, you can actually get a complete resolution of your event or of your process. This is a partial list of our clients who are using it in a combination of both IT and non-IT processes, where you can see a lot of big and global logos a part of this list. So now just to talk very quickly about a couple of case studies before we start off with the demo. So RPA or a combination of these technologies should not only be used for automating mundane and repetitive tasks, but it can also be used to introduce innovative processes. So we have developed an app store for one of our users or one of our clients, where they can go to this specific software store, or as simple as a web page which has been designed in Cherwell, where they can click on the software which they want to install out of a given list of softwares, and post that. Once they request it, if they are approved to get that software, a software is provisioned in the back end, and you get a link to download the software. The next case study that I want to specifically talk about is account creation and deletion in terms of telephony, where we have achieved a cost reduction on a major scale because 100% of it has been automated, 50% reduction in processing time, 100% accuracy, and complete auditability and traceability in terms of actions performed. A few other IT processes that can be automated in terms of access control is active identity token in employee offboarding, access management in Box, alias management in Microsoft Exchange, employee onboarding on Cisco WebEx or AirWatch to manage enterprise devices to either wipe the device or delete the user as per the requirement of your use case. And then you can of course go on doing multiple of these things. There is a huge list that can be automated in terms of different functions. So it could be security, access management, data center processes, network processes, etc. And then you can get a huge turnaround time benefit when you are doing automation that is actually done end to end for any specific use case. So you also have an option to use F3 bot, which is a free bot which you can get while using Cherwell, where you get one bot per enterprise to automate both your IT and non-IT requests. You can get more information about this on our website. So now let's kick off the demo. Now I would like to hand over the session to my colleague Rutvik, who will take over the demo session from now. Over to you, Rutvik.
Hello everyone. We'll just give you a quick demo of Cherwell Automation Edge integration. So we'll just log in. Just yeah. So we'll give you an so this is an demo for employee onboarding. Sorry. So I'll quickly fill in the details for the employee. So the group name will contain the group in which the user will be added. Provide him the password for the Active Directory. So in the below section, we have the virtual machine details. So in this use case, we'll be creating the user in the Active Directory. We'll be adding the user in the Cherwell group, which is mentioned over here, and we'll be creating a virtual machine for this user, and also we will be adding the same user into an SQL database. I'll just quickly put in all the details of for the virtual machine that is required. So I'll just submit the request on the Cherwell. Submit order. So we have a service request which is created on the Cherwell end. So we have the service request created as on the Cherwell end. So we'll just search for the service request on the Cherwell client. So as you can see, the request is created on the Cherwell and the details are populated over here. And also we have these tasks which have been generated for each use case that I mentioned. We just log into the Automation Edge portal to check the update on the requests. So as you can see, we have the create new ID user which is created for the user John Miller. The same user was added in the SQL database. We have the upcoming on the ongoing request for create Azure VM, and we'll also the the user John Miller is also added into the Cherwell group. So the create a Azure VM this will require some time to complete. So meanwhile, I'll just show you the mapping form from where the mapping will be done for integrating Cherwell with Automation Edge. So, so this is the section where the Automation Edge map workflows will be set and related attributes will be populated and the same and corresponding on the other end the corresponding Cherwell service catalog is will define the service catalog and related specific to those to that workflow and and in the below section you will see the list of all the specific fields related to those specifics and once we have related the attribute name with the specific field we'll just click on add mapping and in such a way we'll create all the mappings for that use case. So in this case where we have the onboarding request you can see all the fields are mapped. Specific fields with the automation edge attribute are mapped in this way. So I'll hand over this back to Himanshu.
Hey, thanks, Ritvik. Uh, all of us know that creation of Azure machine takes a lot of time. So essentially, we'll have to wait for around 5 minutes. So in the meantime, I also want to quickly show you automation of non-IT tasks. So while we can of course show you this as a part of the existing request which we saw, I would like to show you how this is actually designed in Process Studio and how you can run it right through Process Studio. So this is Process Studio where you have a ready action of libraries on the left hand side. This is just a demo instance and definitely not the exhaustive list of actions that we have. And on the right hand side is the workflow which has been designed, which is going to go into Salesforce Professional Edition, log in as an admin, or log in as a user, go into Salesforce Professional Edition, create a user using UI automation, and then close the browser. So let's try and do this. So let me run the workflow. So let's check. So the username that would be created is will be called Cherwell demo with user 101. So the complete name will be Cherwell demo user 101. The profile which will assign will be chatter free user. So let's go ahead and run this workflow, right? So now you will be able to see the browser opening up. This is the bot that is doing all the action. So you can see Salesforce has been opened up. Credentials have been entered. Credentials are always stored in an encrypted format, whether with automation edge database, or if you want, you also have integrations with leading credential vaults like CyberArk, HashiCorp, or Beyond Trust. So you can see that the bot is navigating across different screens, and it is navigating to creation of users. Here you can see that it has gone to the users tab. It has clicked on new users. So it will click on new users now, and it will enter the data. So you can see the speed at which the data will be entered, or the speed at which all the navigation is being done. So if within less than 1 minute, we can actually go ahead and create a demo. Now, unfortunately, I have kind of repeated the alias, so it has given us an error. But assuming all the information entered is correct, then you can go ahead and actually create a user extremely fast without having to write any code. So all of this has been done using dragging and dropping certain plugins without having to write a single line of code. So that being said, let us go back to the deck. And this is it from the presentation part. We will now take question and answers from you. So let the questions flow in. Okay, so we have one question now. So the question here is the actions done on third-party system, how can they be mapped, or how does one essentially talk with third-party systems? So that's a good question. So there are two ways in which you can do this. So on a broad level, applications in terms of automation are divided into two types. One is web applications which run through a browser, and other are desktop applications. So with Automation Edge, you actually get plugins for doing both set of automations, and each of these plugins have a set of actions. So for example, when you're talking about web automation, you have web click, getting data, setting of data, looping through tables, reading through drop down boxes, etc. Or when you are talking about desktop automation, then you can do things like clicking on something, getting data, setting data, which are common, going through different incidents of a window, or switching through pop-ups of windows. So all of these things can be done just by dragging and dropping plugin, and that is the way how you can interact with third-party systems. That being said, of course, if the third-party systems have an API approach that can be taken, then we can go ahead and use the API approach and do it using APIs as well, because Automation Edge has its own client for consuming REST or SOAP APIs, which using which you can directly communicate with the systems without the need of interacting through UI. Okay, so one more question which I have is, can this help me to get my service desk at the center of my ecosystem? So definitely this is something that can allow you to do so. So we definitely understand that when you invest in good service desks like Cherwell, you expect it to be at center of the ecosystem. So we can definitely allow that. So a lot of organizations even today have different, I wouldn't call different service desks, but I would say different softwares or different tools to do different types of jobs. And then as an IT manager or as someone who is responsible for governance and compliance, you have to keep on running through hoops to make sure that you have all the reports, all the data is being stored securely, compliances are being followed, etc. But with tools like Automation Edge, which wherein you can automate n type of tasks, you can actually put an umbrella over all of these and then get all of those plugged right into your Cherwell. So your finance and account requests, your onboarding requests, your admin, your legal, all of these requests can flow through or get initiated through and get locked out right from Cherwell. So at the end of the day, any and every activity that will happen in your organization, if you desire so, can go through a service desk, keeping a singular compliance and log in place. The next question we have is about how do we go about doing POCs, or what is the standard approach? So Ed, would you like to take this one?
Yes, thank you, Himanshu. Yeah, so as far as POCs are concerned, certainly we do support POCs. We would be glad to get on a discovery call to look at the use case that you're looking to automate from a workflow, and then we can decide on the best approach. We take a POC on a case by case basis, but at the end of the day, the answer is yes. We would support a POC to help you see the value and help you with a business case and an ROI so that you can get the right approvals to start your automation journey. All you need to do is either reach out to myself, my email is on the screen right now, or you can certainly send an email to info@automationedge.com, and we'll be glad to get right back with you to start that journey. Thank you, Himanshu.
Thank you, Ed. So one more thing which I've got is around cognitive and ML capabilities. So this specific question says, I'm keen to understand how does automatic ticket classification work. So actually, I would like to encourage you to, or I would like to invite you to the next webinar, which is going to be completely around cognitive abilities with machine learning and AI. That being said, just to quickly answer your question, we have inbuilt libraries that can help you do automatic ticket classification with pre-processing of data and all of these things. And what we do on a very high level is we take the past dump of the tickets that you have, we study the way these have been sorted, and then based on that, we as in the bot studies the way that it has been sorted, and then based on that, you can actually uh, help the bot understand that this is the way things are done, and then the bot starts doing these things on its own with a confidence level that is told to you as user. So you can define it in programming on what level of confidence do you want to classify something, or do you want to divert it to manual queue as well. So that is something that can be done, and we'll definitely talk about that in much more detail in the upcoming webinar, which is the last one in the series, which talks strictly, or I would say, which talks on concentration, in concentration on machine learning and artificial intelligence. Okay, so the next question which we have is again quite interesting. The question says, how, or okay, let me just read it out again. Okay, so the question says, what makes you think that this combination of technologies makes it an efficient approach, or how do these technologies play well with each other? So I think that's a really good question, and to answer that, as I said, we have seen this in industry over the last few years, that a singular approach to automate something might not always be efficient. So for instance, if you have Salesforce Enterprise license, then it actually allows you to use APIs which can create users for you much more faster. So in that sense, using your traditional RPA only approach might not really give you the best or most efficient automation. But using other approaches or the other technologies to automate will actually help you to get an efficient way. Or for instance, as we spoke about data handling using ETL, if you have thousands and thousands of records in a spreadsheet or a database that you want to migrate, transport, and do those kind of things, then built-in ETL capabilities allow you to do these automations much faster. For instance, Automation Edge can process 100,000 records in around 2 to 3 seconds with medium complexity formulas like VLOOKUPs, merge, joins, and sorts. So it actually speeds up the process and does various things. Or for instance, security automation, which allows us to talk with CM tools like Splunk or McAfee or Veritas, understand the security breach and understand the remediation action from them and do the fulfillment on that side. Or OCR, which allows you to actually read or extract data from PDFs and process that. So using multiple technology actually has allowed us to achieve that business service process automation, which is not really possible, or I would say which is not really efficiently possible with using just one kind of technologies. So that is the reason why we believe in using multiple technologies in the platform, and we know that how we can connect them so that the technologies complement each other rather than clashing with one another. Do we support OCR natively? So yes, OCR is natively supported as a part of Automation Edge, where we can integrate OCR or extraction of data as a part of process. In fact, it has been done in multiple organization of clients of ours, specifically in banking finance sector and supply chain sector or even retail sector, where there are a lot of invoices or bills that need to be processed, and OCR has been integrated deeply into the product to allow you to use it as a part of process. Can this be used to do SAP automation? Yes, this can be definitely be used to do SAP automation, and you can do SAP automation either using some of our ready plugins to do some of the actions, or you can always use UI automation depending on the licenses that are there with your SAP instance. So I think we are almost on top of the hour. We can get back to you over mail for the remaining questions that we couldn't answer today. So I would like to hand it back to Ed for a special announcement. Back to you, Ed.
Himanshu, thank you so much. We appreciate that, and thank you all the attendees as well. Listen, if you're going to be attending the Cherwell Global Conference 18, we will be in the T4S partner booth, which is booth 207. Please stop by, say hello. We would love to talk to you about your automation and your digital transformation journey. And again, we appreciate your time, and we look forward to seeing you on the next seminar covering cognitive AI learning. And again, thank you so much, and have a great day, evening as well. Cheers for now.